This is a motor for an Amberola 75. It's similar, very similar to the Amberola 30 motor. The main difference is that this has 2 springs and the Amberola 30 has only 1 spring. So this is how it works. This is where you wind it up, right there, and this is the winding shaft. Let me get a put the crank in, wind it up, and when you wind it, this moves up and down. And when you move it this way, you can wind, and when you move it that way, it stops it. The reason it stops it is because of this. When you move it up, you can turn it, and when you move it down, it locks it. It puts this little key in between this gear and that gear. And in order to take this off and do any repair work to this, you have to first make absolutely certain that the spring is completely unwound. And okay, so we'll come back to this in a minute here. Okay, so now it is completely, totally, thoroughly unwound. And if you want to do a repair job on this little guy right here, you have to take this bracket off. And that bracket is secured by these 4 screws. So, you get a screwdriver, you undo these 4 screws. Okay, those 4 screws are out. That's what holds this bracket in. And the bracket just comes right off. So this gear engages this gear, and this hole here is where the end of the spring barrel shaft goes. And this is the doohickey that determines the stuff. So if this breaks, you want to be sure and fix it. This just comes right out, and you see there's a spring right here, and what this spring does is when you're turning it in the direction of cranking, the spring expands and allows you to turn it. But when you turn it the other way, what you're doing is you're cinching up the spring and it won't turn. Now what you want to do is make sure that the spring is connected to this pawl here, and sometimes that breaks off. So what you have to do is straighten out a little stretch of spring and make a new connection here. That's all there is to it. And that I've already done this one once before, and it doesn't really impact performance all that much. And then when you want to put it back together, see here, this little slot right here, between here and here, that is where this goes back and forth, like that. And when you're winding, you can turn it. But when you go backwards, you can't turn it. So, I'm going to put just a little dab of grease on the end of this guy here, just because. I might as well, since I got it out here. So, you put this back, like this. And put the 4 screws in. First you gotta line up the holes. I'm going to make sure these are tight. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. And nice and tight. Now it's all back together, and let's see if it works now. Keep your fingers crossed. Yep, it's working. So you wind it up, and it works. That's all there is to it.